I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings.
Dude, that's pretty cool.
Man, that is a sad clown.
Dude, that's pretty good.
This is The Gloom, bringing you weekly interviews with F3 Omaha packs, exploring their F3 experiences and finding those sticky elements that create the glue in the gloom.
So today is a special edition of The Gloom. We've got three people on today. We've got Big One, Sparty, and Tater Tot are on the call today, really to share with us some exciting news about the F3 Omaha Foundation. I had a chance to read through a newsletter before, so I feel like I'm up to speed, but man, it's amazing just reading some of that stuff that we've done as a region through the foundation, but also it's exciting to see where things are going. And so I want to give these guys a chance to really just share that with people that might be listening, and also maybe just to get guys pumped up about what this next year has to offer. So as you guys know, all three of these men have been leaders of AOs. They've been leaders on a higher level. Tater Tot is our longest running Nantan. Big One just handed off the weasel shaker role to slow pitch. But I'm looking at Sparty here, and he's just got the biggest smile on his face, because I know this is like just his passion area. And so I wonder, Sparty, if you would just kick us off. What are some exciting things you want the PAX to know about the foundation?
Yeah, so the foundation, the thing that I really enjoy the most about it is that I was just a PAX member that had an idea, and I took it to some guys in some leadership roles. And it wasn't necessarily their mission, but they believed in me and loved me enough that they were going to help me carry out that mission. And so maybe we could start with just kind of giving a quick background as to how this all started. It goes back to 2020 when we were hit with COVID and we had all the mandates, and people were strapped to their homes. We were still getting out in the gloom and working out as PAX. And no more than 10 people at a time in a group. We were following rules. Anyway, and as we got deeper into COVID, I was finding myself wanting to do more and searching for more. And so I reached out to Tater Tot a handful of times and just let him know, like, hey, man, I'm exploring something deeper here that I want to do. And then it was about June in 2020 when the Floyd murder or death happened in Minnesota, and things really changed around the country. And I think this is kind of what sparked it for me. And it just so happened right around that time, I saw something posted on Twitter from F3 Lexington, which is in South Carolina. And what they do is they have some sort of relation to a firefighter that died at 9/11 that was climbing one of the buildings in New York City when it collapsed. And so what they did in Lexington was they do their own 9/11 CSOP event every September. And from the money they raise in that event, they give a scholarship to a local young man from their high school. And so this kind of prompted the idea for me. And I reached out to one of the guys that was helping run that event, who put his name on the backblast, and I actually read and found this report. And it made me think, like, what am I passionate about? What do I really want to make an impact in our community with? And something that I truly believe, and I've shared this in a few COTs, that I really want to change the world, and I believe in what Dread has started here. What's a little different for me is I think that if we start this with younger men, like in high school, it could have a lasting impact on the world. And so I wanted to help in a way similar to what they were doing. So I wanted to figure out, how do they create this scholarship? How did they create this event? How did they plan it? What did they do? They gave some really good advice. And so I took that and kind of spun the wheels myself. And then I approached Tater Tot in wait time is around that time they were transitioning the Nantan responsibility from Wait Time over to Tater Tot. They really liked it, and they said, "Hey, I think we could do this." It was really easy to rope in Lemon Law at that point because he was our Q for the third F. And if you know Tater Tot, usually if he's got an idea and there's something that he needs to talk through with somebody, he brings in the big one. And so we all got breakfast at Wheatfields, had a great time. And one of the pieces of advice that we learned from the guys from South Carolina was they didn't do it till the third year, but it also helped to create a nonprofit foundation. And so at that point, it was like, well, maybe we should bring in a lawyer. And I don't know if we have any lawyers that are in F3 Omaha. Definitely weren't going to look at Pony to come in and help just based upon the way he dresses for these phone calls. Anyway, so we reached out to Nodos, and Nodos had, at the time, no idea how to create this, as this was not part of what he does in his practice. But he said he was willing to ask around in his office, and lo and behold, he did a ton of legwork to get a nonprofit created. And one of the biggest things was we need to make sure that the foundation is created to be successful and strong. And we had to think about the size of our foundation that we were going to create. And we knew we needed to have an odd number to be able to vote on certain things. And with that being said, it gave us a really good opportunity to kind of explore between ourselves, who else could we add that could add a tremendous amount of experience and knowledge. And so it was pretty easy to reach out to Brazilian and add him to the group. And that's how we established the foundation.
Sparty, I love your passion, and I think we maybe covered this on your episode, but one of the things that I think guys around you, or just that hear your story, they kind of think, well, wow, I maybe I don't know what my purpose is, or I don't know, where do I give back to the community, or maybe my family or whatever is going on in my life doesn't allow me to do that, or there's a lot of kind of noble excuses that guys might come up with, but ultimately, right, better men, stronger men as leaders, right, creates a stronger community, and that's kind of what we know and we see. But like, where were you at? I mean, how did you get to that point where you were like even asking yourself that question? I mean, is that a spiritual journey? Was that just like kind of part of your career, or what brought you to that place where you were like, I want a purpose bigger than myself? I mean, how did you get there?
I think deep down, I knew that from just simply being a father, and kind of the legacy I wanted to have with my own children and what I wanted to do with them. And then when June hit, I actually reached out to a handful of men that I have known for a long time and looked up to, and just sat down to listen to, their stories as being Black men and growing up and being raised in Omaha, Nebraska. And offered no feedback or answers, just wanted to hear, the hurt and pain that they've experienced. And then from that, I think my wheels have started spinning and realizing like things that I'm passionate about and I really like to be a part of and help is like, I love coaching kids. I think that's probably one of the easiest ways to have an impact and mentor. And then again, just realizing the problem that I was most passionate about was I want to help create a solution that's sustaining. And I think looking to our youth is the best way to find that. So all those things just kind of loop together. But it definitely was some serious soul searching for a solid 3 to 4 months.
Great. And I love that, right? Because this is the time of year, right? Guys are hopefully figuring out their values, maybe doing the 1 word thing or the 8 block or some other exercise to kind of reflect on the year of 2021 and get ready for 2022. So perfect time for guys to kind of get in that mindset of what is it that you want to accomplish this year. And maybe it's not. I mean, it probably isn't starting a foundation, right? But maybe it's figuring out how they can get involved. And I want to kind of pick the brains of Big One and Tater here for a minute, because there's been some guys in the packs that are maybe confused, right? Initially, when this came out, it was like, well, wait a minute, F3 Omaha, F3's free. That's one of our core principles. And, so there's some, maybe confusion there that we could use this time to maybe clear up. But I also want to just just talk through from a leadership perspective. I mean, how did that, when you guys were approached with this idea, how did you kind of maneuver that just from a leadership perspective? It sounds like just leaning on guys around you, or what else was helpful there?
This is Tater Tot speaking. Sparty, great job on walking through that. Sometimes you forget all the little idiosyncrasies that go into how this all came about to paint that picture. I will try my best to add a little bit of historical context that allows us to maybe get back to go into, sometimes one person's vision isn't everybody's vision. And I know we worked through that piece as well. So it's a really good point, Plague. But I can remember the first time meeting a man by the name of Liverpool. And I've talked about Liverpool before. Others have talked about Liverpool as well. But that's one of Wait Time's good friends. He's from the F3 Carpax region in the Carolinas. He was an influencer and helping start F3 Omaha. At the time, F3 Omaha had just turned 1. And Waytime would host leadership meetings in his basement, and some of the best food you've ever had on the land, usually barbecue. And he would invite sometimes special guests to come join. And Liverpool was that special guest. And again, we don't know who Liverpool is, but he came to share his story. He sat down amongst men he didn't know. He gave insight to where F3 is currently, but maybe where the next investment should be in order to truly accelerate. We use that term a lot. What was interesting was maybe unknowingly at the time for F3 that we were building and strengthening our foundation, if you will, to allow us to catapult into that third F. I don't know that if we would have started with the third F mentality that we would be where we are today, specifically with the foundation. But I'll never forget what Waytime said in regard to the third F specifically, as it applies to all three Fs as well. And I'm going to make him sound a lot smarter than what he is right now. But he said to me, if someone is passionate about something and wants to get behind a cause or have an impact and willing to share their vision and put in the work, there are men in this group that will follow, help, and lead. You just have to find them. And that is exactly what Sparty did with this mission. We all can remember those COTs, or those times he came up to you, or if it was at wheat fields, and when he'd speak, he knew exactly what his intent was of the words he was using. He knew the direction he wanted to go with his life. And those that listened were like, I can follow this. I can get behind this. And so at that time, there were some moments where like, is this what F3 Omaha or what our mission is in F3 Nation? We don't know, but we know that something good could come out of this. Let's explore it. And that was the fun part, just listening and watching a man be passionate about something. And we followed. So I just wanted to take that time to kind of share where Liverpool said, find that third F, because that's where you're really going to grow in F3 Omaha. And now in this last year, and you can explore more than just the foundation and what Wentworth and many, many others in that third F component have been able to build upon. We have totally changed the mindset of what F3 is in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I love that, Tater. That's really good. And I think to your point, I remember when we started Paradise, I wanted to start with the third F. But then quickly, Wait Time, the genius that he is, was like, well, we should run or do something beforehand, right? And there is this element where that's why there's three Fs, right? They all go together so well and actually create a better third F experience. And so I think that's really good insight there. I also one of the cool things that we've been able to do is have this F3 Omaha Foundation and continue to serve in several other third F capacities. And I think it's one of those things where it's not just the F3 Omaha Foundation. That's not the only third F opportunity there is. And so we've continued to just I mean, whatever it is, right? Blood drives or book studies, Q source discussions, or Heartland Hope or Abide, or I mean, the list goes on and on. So I mean, I think it's really, really cool. But I wonder if you could, and I don't know who would be best to share this. I'll let you guys decide. But I'm reading this newsletter here, and I'm just blown away by some of the, I'll call them stats, but just the impact that we've had just in this first year. I wonder if you'd be able to just kind of share some of those things out loud with the guys here.
So when we started this, I think some of the guys challenged me and they said, "Hey, what's your goal for this year?" And I said, "Oh, $20,000 would be awesome." And I think I could see the skepticism on their face. I also thought that if we raised $20,000, we could just pay out $20,000. And I realized that we're going to need funds for paying for events and shirts and a lot of other things. So there's a lot of education for me, and part of the reason why it's important for us to lean on other people, and also to have people that are passionate but and like-minded in the mission, but not necessarily agree with you. So they challenged me a lot, which was really good. So that was the goal, is we wanted to set out to raise $20,000. And this was October, November of last year when we were meeting to discuss this. And then we got to the beginning of 2021, and Roadhouse reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're going to do the CSOP on January 2nd. There's always a third F component to the CSOPs." And he said, "Why don't we raise money? The PACs can donate whatever they want, and we'll use that money to kickstart the foundation." I was like, "I'm not asking you guys to do that, but if that's what you want to do, that's really awesome. I really appreciate that." And so that's how we got everything started. And I think Tater Tot shared some stats. I think it was like $5,000 to $6,000 that we raised just from that initial CSOP. And then guys, the word started getting out. The next thing you know, they're like, "Hey, let's do Queen service, raise a bunch of money, and we can donate this to Heartland Hope." And, we're getting this nice little nest egg, and we're volunteering at the Heartland Hope Center on a regular basis. We went to North Star and we bought a bunch of young men, some meals for after their lacrosse team. We went to Avenue Scholars and talked to young men about the importance of fitness and how that plays a role in being a leader. And we bought them food. And it was like, man, this feels really good. And so it was nice to see the PACs buy into this idea that there's so much more that we can be doing. And that was before we even started looking at the brick builder. And I think where I spent a lot of my time and energy leading up to the event, which I'm sure we'll get to, is I knew that in order to make this be successful, and this is part of the feedback I received from the guys from Lexington, is it's great to have PACs donate money, and you can make an impact that way, but getting in touch with local businesses that believe in your mission and what you're trying to accomplish, and getting them to put funds toward as being sponsors for the event, is where you're going to really take this to the next level. And they learned that in year 3. And so we were very fortunate to get that advice up front. And so I spent a lot of time in February, March, April, May, June, along with Big One, Tater Tot, Birdman, Roadhouse, Wait Time helped out as well. And just talking to these local companies about what we were doing, our mission. Some of them were a little skeptical. It was the first year. We had no idea what the hell we were doing. And others are like, I love everything about this. We don't have a lot of funds to give you in year 1, but come back next year and we'll be able to continue to do this. And so I think we raised somewhere in the ballpark of like $15,000 just simply from companies believing in what we were doing and saying we want to support this. And financially, they gladly handed over some money.
Awesome. And that's that's not even including the brick builder event. What I love about this too is if anybody has listened to the most recent 8 block edition, they talk about ALR, so ask, listen, and remember, right? So it's kind of like you get to know other guys and you remember what they're good at, and then you lean on them, right? This idea of like, you don't have to be a, expert at everything. And so just leaning on the guys around you, the guys in Lexington, and like asking for help, I think that's the, my favorite, quote from Slow Pitch is we all get in this mindset of like, I've got it. But the reality is like, I just have an idea and I need help. And so, how can we just build those relationships and get to know the people that we're spending time with so that we can know who to ask for help. So I love that. This example that you provided there. So the brick builder, we had been doing CSOPs, right? And so we had traditionally done CSOPs in F3 Omaha. We had some third F components. I think our first, the first CSOPs I remember we thought was like huge, had 50 guys there. And now, that's a small number now. That's an average Friday. But the brick builder was different. And I want to get your take, and I would love, Big One has such a sexy radio voice. I would love to hear his take, but like, talk me through that, like just the planning, the anxiety, kind of the build up, and then there had to be like this amazing feeling day of the event. But would love to hear from each of you kind of on your experience in some of the planning and just participation in that.
Yeah, I'll hop in. So it's the big one here. Tater Tot has enough anxiety for all of us. So he did a really good job of helping us remember the things that we were missing. I think Sparty has this grand idea, and I was right there behind him, running with him, and Tater Tot, I think, did a really good job of thinking of all the little details that maybe we weren't always thinking. But it was an evolution. We wanted it to be somewhat reflective of an F3 workout, but also have its own identity. We ran into a lot of different challenges throughout the course of planning it. Originally, we were thinking about potentially having it downtown, kind of in conjunction with the College World Series or right around that time. We thought potentially a run starting at Creighton's campus and going through downtown. For a number of reasons, we found out that wasn't going to be doable. We looked at other sites and eventually settled on Creighton Prep because it had really everything that we were looking for. And then through that, we ended up putting together an event committee. Icy Hot and Jean-Claude really took the reins and did a phenomenal job with that. And I think as we went on, we learned the importance of bringing other people in and delegating and realizing that that it really was going to take a village, so to speak, to put this on. So we broke down into different subcommittees, if you will. Like I said, Icy Hot and Jean-Claude did an awesome job. And then we had others kind of help plan the event, like Bubbles and Khakis, and then other guys jump on board as far as just kind of helping with day of. So it was definitely an evolution. It wasn't something that just happened overnight, but it was a lot of collaboration, a lot of Tater Tot, reminding us of the little details that maybe we were forgetting from time to time. It was pretty cool seeing it all come together there in June. But and that's just kind of a brief summary. Feel free, fellas, to add anything.
I think what's you did a great job, Big One. Let me just start there. And great to hear your voice and be a part of this conversation. I think what we forget sometimes is you remember the end result. You remember the end feeling and how hard it can be to get through there, that mud and that yuck and those hard conversations. Because you may have a vision. Sparty may have a vision. I may have a thought of how I want it to go. Big One may have a feel. You bring in more committee members. They have different opinions. And we all work in places in our day-to-day job where sometimes those conversations, they just don't go well or they don't end well. They don't collaborate well. And this one was surrounded around initially a man's vision that we wanted to be sensitive to and listen to, because that's what sparked it, but to also add in our own flares, which can be a delicate conversation as you go through and make these decisions. So I guess, I was really proud of how guys worked together when there was conflict or if a difference of an opinion, how those were resolved. It just showed that the platform of F3 and just being respectful of other people as you go through a process can actually work. And so the end result, and I think Khakis and Bubbles stood very proud on that turf that day, watching people just be defeated by that last 50 yards of bear crawl. All of those moments and memories that we had on that field that day, it was a giant celebration. And as Sparty handed over to the winners circles, we all knew it wasn't about a winner that day. It was a part of something much, much greater and bigger that took just a lot of work and effort. And so we remember the end feeling, but sometimes we forget how much work it took to get there. So just proud to be a part of that process.
We went into our first committee meeting, and what we were blown away with and found out was that John Claude is somebody that can really take things by the reins and organize it and keep people accountable. Because I honestly thought
the ultimate taskmaster.
Yeah.
We all worked a little scared.
Yeah. And it was, for me, it was an incredible relief. I didn't ask him to do it. I don't know if he felt he needed to do it because it wasn't happening, but at some point in our first committee meeting, he just kind of took the reins, got real organized with things. And then going forward, he really facilitated the meetings and kept us all accountable, created, spreadsheets of who's getting what done by when. And so, huge shout out to John Claude for doing that, because by him doing that, the event would not have been what it was. People said that it felt like it was ran really well. So Khakis and Bubbles, we gave them the responsibility to actually create the workout. What some people may not know is we did the workout like 3 or 4 times. So we prepped, we went the first time and we took time, we stopped, we talked, we actually reversed the direction we were running, we moved things around. And so when people showed up the day of the brick builder, they weren't just showing up and we're going to see what happens. It was something that we experienced ourselves, and we made changes that we thought would be best for the event. And so that was really awesome. The other thing I wanted to just share is just the feeling of the event. I think I had so much going on inside my head. And when it came time for the event to start, I didn't know what to say, what to do. I dropped the ball on that, and I think we'll definitely make sure that that's improved for year 2. But after we started, it was one of the greatest feelings of joy I've ever had in my life. Just seeing people moving around, things were happening, all the time and energy and effort that everybody had put into this, it was really moving well. And I was just so happy to be a part of it. And I felt so much love from everybody that was, just helping, volunteering, and the guys, their faces while they're going through the workout. I know some of them, it really, really sucked, but at the same time, they enjoyed it. And so it felt amazing. Something I've never had before.
One thing that was different about the brick builder versus other CSOPs is that we wanted this to be open to the community, and we want this to continue to be open to the community, not only from a fundraising standpoint, but from a participation standpoint. And I just thought it was really, really cool to see people from the community that aren't necessarily F3 members, or at least weren't maybe then, maybe they are now, as long as women participated in it. That was just cool, that we know what we go through on a daily basis, and obviously that was more than what we go through on a daily basis. But it was cool to see others from the community kind of be part of the packs for that day, along with potentially their wives or coworkers that were women. There was an all female team, so that was really cool just to see non F3 people go through a CSOP of sorts. And just kind of see that extension of F3 go out into the community. And we knew it was going to be difficult, and we wanted it to be difficult, But I think we wanted the participants to feel like they had a team that they were going through this with. We didn't want anybody to feel like they were just out there on their own. We also kind of went back and forth with whether or not it's a competition. Is it you versus you, or is it truly a competition? I think the one thing we came back to is we wanted people to, try as absolutely hard as they could. And so I think there was that time kind of winning component to it. I don't think we wanted that to be the main focus, but we did want to have that kind of out there. But yeah, ultimately, with F3, everything we do is, yes, I guess we're individuals when we're doing it, but it really is as a team. We're out there as a team every day. And I think we wanted the people doing that to feel that and to feel, doing those exercises cumulatively and being able to work through that together as a group. We just thought would be more rewarding than as just an individual.
Fantastic response.
I'm reliving all of the FOMO that I had, So, the only thing I will say is I'm surprised Khakis didn't DQ the winning team for their Groiner form. And if you're out there, you know who you are. But anyway, something that just came to mind, and I'm curious. Because I know myself, I've had conversations with my M about if you could only see, like if you could only participate in what I experience in the mornings, you would probably let me go every day. And I don't know, I'm sure other guys have had that conversation too, where it's like, gosh, if I could, like, I can't explain it. I show up to these workouts and I build relationships with these other men, and I can't explain how it works or why or the feeling. And so this might be, one of those things. I'm thinking about my 8 block, and maybe this event coming up this year is a date opportunity with my M, right? Maybe that's how I work it in, and she gets that sort of exposure to what F3 is all about. Talk to me a little bit though. So you did this event, and then this event helped to raise even more money to fund what was kind of the initial vision, Sparty, were these scholarships. And I don't know. I just, when I read this newsletter and I think about these young men that we're able to impact, I mean, talk to me a little bit about maybe the conversations you've had with them, or just the feeling of being able to commit to supporting them in their further education. What's that been like? What's that experience taught you?
Yeah, so we shared a lot of the backstory, and we didn't know how the first year was going to go. We didn't know if we were going to get anybody to actually even fill out and submit an application, or what would happen. And so far we've shared a lot of really cool things, and I think things that guys from F3 can relate to. But the experiences we got with these two gentlemen is something that can never be duplicated. And so we reached out to a few local partners that we had and shared this application. Again, not knowing what we'd get, but the ones that we had done a really good job and put a lot of effort into were North Star and Avenue Scholars. Reached out to Boys and Girls Club. I was introduced to them through Jamar Dorsey, or Gorgeous George, as he's known in the gloom. And also Big Brothers, Big Sisters, which, believe it or not, Nugent was the one that introduced me to them, as he was a mentor for them for a long time. And then just tried to get into as many schools as we could with the application. And there were two that came in that you read them and you're like, man, I really want to meet this guy. And so from day one, what the foundation agreed upon was, when these come in, we'll discuss these applicants. We'll do, some sort of group interview in some sort of capacity, and then we'll vote on them. And so the first one that we got introduced to is Andre Williams, who is from Omaha North. He got brought to us from North Star, and he had an incredible story. He and his father 2 years ago, about 2.5 years ago now, actually were homeless. They lived in a homeless shelter. And so to hear Andre tell his story of how important North Star was for him, as he would go to this homeless shelter to sleep every night, but then he had this place where he could go for school, for friendship, for mentorship. He got into rock climbing and mountain biking. It was really powerful. And then when you meet the guy, I'll let either of these two talk about Andra if they want, but his smile is just, it's glorious. It's a big smile. And you just know when you meet him, like, this guy, he really can change the world. Like, he is so smart. He's so passionate. Like, he's contagious in his personality. Like, this is exactly what we want and a recipient. The challenge we had with Andra, we weren't the only people that felt this way. He got about every single scholarship under the sun. So we were fortunate that the money that we were able to, grant him, he was able to use for something that he forgot about to the last second, which was buying books. Got to have books for school. And so Andra he was an exceptional person, an exceptional leader at North Star. And so we were very lucky. Shabazz came in and was a little different. I think he was a little more rough on the edges. He was an athlete, which I think a handful of us could really relate to. And I think you can tell what was different about him is that even at the age of 17, he was a tremendous leader. And he was really good at lifting up other people, helping out at his church, helping out at Boys and Girls Club. And even at the age of 17, like, he was able to articulate, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to wrestle. I'm going to get a business degree. Then I want to start a business where I help young boys and teach them how to wrestle. I was like, this dude is going to fit in perfectly at F3. And so both of these guys, they just had incredible personalities, very different, but both are passionate people. They want to lead. They want to help others. They see the value in that.
One thing I want to point out is just an amazing job that Sparty did in developing these relationships with these organizations. We don't find Andra, we don't find Jabez if it's not for Sparty going out and meeting Scott Hazelrig at North Star and meeting the guys at Avenue Scholars and making the connections with the Boys and Girls Club. Because we didn't have that. I mean, that was we were a brand new foundation trying to raise money for a scholarship. Sparty kind of blazed the trail, so to speak. I mean, it's one thing to send out an application to high school counselors and even some of these organizations, but if you don't really get in there and tell them who you are and what you're about, those applications might kind of fall on deaf ears. So huge kudos to Sparty for doing that.
There are hundreds of millions of dollars worth of scholarships throughout this country that are given away to so many people that are deserving. What was important in F3 Omaha's foundation specifically with this was not a transaction, but this was a relationship. Somebody that we got to know over time, that we included, that was a part of our community. And that continues to be a part of this process. Both of those young men having an attachment, a mentorship, being in our community, and ultimately a goal to have an AAO and leading is wonderful. So it was really conscious decision to get to know these individuals, these gentlemen, their families, if they're willing to share that. It just makes it so much more impactful the next time that we go around and share our mission of F3 Foundation, what we're trying to do. Here are the real stories of the people that we're trying to have relationships with, and it just feels that much better to get involved.
I know you have a couple kind of big announcements, maybe some save the date type of stuff for guys on this upcoming year. Sparty, do you want to just share kind of maybe some changes in the foundation leadership and what date should we be marking on our calendar, maybe what month for the event this year?
Yeah, thanks. So as many of you probably know, our brother Lemon Law recently got an opportunity to move to Kearney. We're super excited about that and supportive of him. And as a result, it opened up a position within our board of directors. And so I think it was an easy conversation with an awesome, a guy that we were looking to fill that spot and someone that's been living this out and has been a tremendous leader. And we reached out to Jean-Claude either earlier this week or last week, and offered him the position to join the board of directors, and he accepted. So we're really excited for Jean-Claude to come on board. And just a date to save. So we selected May 21st to be the day for the Brick Builder Year 2. We did a lot of AAR, after action reports, for the first year. And one of the things that came back was, while June, it was really nice, pretty good weather. It's also summertime. There's a lot of people that had to miss because of vacations or things going on. And so we wanted to do it before vacation. We wanted to do it before Memorial Day, but we also didn't want it to be really crappy weather. So we landed on May 21st, which is a Saturday. That we'll be doing this again. As of right now, we have Creighton Prep penciled in to be the location. Unless something crazy happens and we get a different venue that we want to go with, that's the plan.
Hey, Plague, one thing I wanted to throw out there, and I don't, it probably doesn't fit in here. It probably fits in more towards the beginning of the conversation. But, if anybody's listening to this and wondering, why a foundation? We do so many good things within F3. Why a foundation? And you kind of touched on it. I mean, I love the free to lead concept mantra. And without the foundation, we've done so many incredible things over the last 3 years. The Turkey Trot led by Tube Socks, and the Project Pink fundraiser led by Escobar this year. Obviously the Queen's Service, which they've been donating to the Hope Center for a long time. So we don't need a foundation to do things like that, and the foundation is not meant to replace things like that. And we certainly want to encourage the PACs to continue to whether it be raise funds or lead through the third F, however they see fit, and continue to be free to lead. I think one thing that the foundation offers is a permanence and a legacy that can move forward and grow as F3 continues to grow. As Sparty mentioned, there is a board right now that I'm a part of, and Sparty's a part of, and Tater Tot and Jean-Claude and Wait Time and Brazilian and Nodos. But we won't be the board members forever. And we would like the foundation to continue to grow. And as we, as we circle off, there'll be new him that come on and continue to grow it. I think the foundation was the best way to raise funds for the scholarship. And I think there are some ideas or some possibilities or opportunities for the foundation to support other causes going forward. But just want to be clear that the PACs should continue to lead as their heart sees fit for whatever causes they want to. It's so cool seeing these other third F opportunities come up when guys are just compelled to lead. So just wanted to throw that out there. Like I said, the foundation is about leaving a legacy, and continuing to move forward with that. But by no means are we trying to take over the third F or replace any individual's efforts to make a difference in their community or something that means a lot to them.
Absolutely. No, I think that's good to clarify too, because I think some of those things, blood drives have become a staple for us, as often as guys can give blood, and that's an important cause too. So it doesn't negate or take away any of those other opportunities. I love that, because I think if you have something you're passionate about, let's do it, and I love that. I do just want to respect your time. So as we're kind of wrapping up, what anything else you guys would share, or things that you feel like we maybe didn't touch on that you want to get out there for guys to hear?
I guess I could share. So this actually kind of piggybacks on what Big One was just sharing, and thanks for going that route. One of the goals that I had with going down this path, while I am very passionate about this, and this is, I feel like, the ultimate problem that I'm trying to solve, I was really hoping that at some point this also sparked an interest in other PACS members to see like, oh wow, if I have something that I'm passionate about and I want to run with, I have the support to do that. And I've talked with Tater about this a lot, that I was really hoping that at some point, and I didn't know when it would happen, that this would start to, move towards PAX members all across the region to start, being passionate about what they want to have an impact on in the community. And I don't think that this actually did. I think we just naturally got there. And that brings me, a tremendous amount of joy, but I want this to serve as an example of how we can leverage the PAX to do incredible things and make an impact in the community. And that this is not about me. This is not about my mission or my purpose, but maybe just see it as an example of what you can also achieve. So that's all I would want to share.
I would say our opportunity, here's some numbers for you. If people are still listening in at the 64-minute mark, in 2018, we had 137 FNGs or PAX members. 2019, we added 269 more. In 2020, we added 339. In 2021, we added 531 new guys. Our growth right now is allowing ourselves to have a monumental impact in 2022. If you are passionate about something, I promise you there's somebody else that's in the PAX that's willing to listen, get behind you, and help you lead your mission, whatever that is. And I think that is the beauty of the power of the PAX that we talk about.
Mike Rob. That's fantastic, man. And I think it just continues to grow. It's the amazing thing, right? And that is, I think, what invigorating male community leadership is all about, right? Teaching guys how to, get right, live right, lead right, and leave right, and giving them a pathway, to bring their ideas to fruition. So that's amazing, Tater. I'm speechless.
Big one, did you say there was an FNG at Battlefield today? Fingers? 532 for 2021. My apologies, Fingers.
That's incredible.
All right, Paul, I'll start us off in a name Rama here. Thanks for this time. I think, it's important that guys are aware of this, just not only the information, but the journey and the perspectives that you guys have shared. I think as we look back at all the other guys we've interviewed and we've talked about, right, everybody kind of gets to this point where they've identified like where they're at on the 3 F's, right? Fitness, fellowship, and faith. And I'm getting stronger. My biceps are bigger. I have more friends now. I enjoy coffee, and I've been to a few Q source studies, and I volunteer. But ultimately, learning and hearing from you all, how do you go from that experience in F3, which we all love and is fantastic, but to actually, okay, what's my ULP? And then how do I actually move forward on solving that problem? So I think the example that you three have provided is phenomenal.
Thank you for the opportunity, Plague.
Yeah, thanks, Plague.
Yes, sir. And if you're an avid listener, we have a couple million followers that listen on a weekly basis. But if you've noticed, so Big One and Tater have not been on for their individual interview, where their calendars are just jam-packed.
Read between the lines, Plague.
We're trying to get them on here. So you can vote for that on a future episode. But anyway, this is Brandon Flehardy, 36, The Plague.
Plague. Mark Wowood, 37, Sparty.
Sparty. Matt Garland, 41, Big One.
Big One. And I'm Adrian Ryder. I'm 41. Tater Tot.
Tater Tot.
Tot.
Love you guys. Thanks for your time today.